everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Weekend Grill. This week, joining me again is Paul Sebastiani, the Prince of Lygon Street.
Good. What are we? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening. I don't know if the Prince of Lygon Street's wearing a snapback cap and a Nike t-shirt and Nike and Nike leggings and tights, but I'll take it.
It's good enough for me. It's good enough for me. Hey, listen, we've got a big show coming up.
We do.
Where round 2 has just ended. Round 3, some seasons are forming shape here. Some are ending. Some are in the midst of it. Peaking.
It always happens. It was third week of the season, like third round. Like it just we wait so long for it to come back, and now we're like, hang on a minute. This season's over. That player's cooked. That player's flying. Brownlow favourite. They can't win. It's crazy. I love it.
I know. That's what we live for. Listen, we're going to talk about cold beverage, Lost Dogs, Fremantle and Luke Jackson. I know you're very passionate about that.
Yes.
Collingwood and their premiership favouritism tag, which is huge. Carlton, master coaches that are reinvigorated, which I'm big about. Some geniuses getting back to work.
Indeed.
And also we're going to include a mini round 3 preview. So
yes, looking forward to it.
Yeah, you ready to go?
Ready to rock and roll.
Let's do it, baby. All right, so first and foremost, first cab off the rank, the Bulldogs. Allow me the courtesy of being blunt. They make me sick. And this is not one word of a joke. So the lead up to 2023 this season here was, they were going to roll with the big 4 power forwards. They had a lot of good inclusions. They had a few players leave, but there was a lot of hype around them, right?
Absolutely.
Luke Beveridge in December got a contract extension till 2025.
2-year contract extension.
So Amit Baines and Chris Grant ordered that. And at this current point in time, they are the biggest disappointment in the AFL, right? So they came in. They're the 5th most experienced team, and they're really? They are, and they're also the equal oldest team in the AFL. Oh. Now, from what we've seen in the first 2 games, no pressure on the opposition ball carrier. Right?
Yeah.
They're literally getting run through like a home robbery.
Yeah.
So opposition teams literally running through
like
them.
A hot knife through butter.
Right? They're 17th in transition from defense to offense this year. The game against St Kilda on Saturday, they had 8 tackles inside 50.
Mm-hmm.
Just to put it into context, St Kilda had 16. Right?
Yeah.
So they're minus 20 this season against opponents. I think Cody Waitman's a massive out for him at this stage. So look, I can understand that a little bit. But what I want to talk about is there a breakdown of communication, right? Like, are the players being receptive to what the coach is trying to tell them? Because you can always measure a team's intent by their intensity.
100%.
And at the moment,
that's what it is.
Their intensity at the moment is horrible, right? So, I mean, I'm not sure if giving the extension to Beveridge was the right thing at this stage. Now, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And just to quickly mention, Collingwood got rid of Nathan Buckley merely 24 months after making a grand final, right?
Yes.
Now, that's good for business, right? Hindsight looking at it now, it's easy to say that is good business. Yes. However, I just question whether in 12 months' time the Bulldogs and their board are going to be questioning the decision to extend Luke Beveridge's contract. So, I mean, the next 3 games that they have, I want to properly assess them after the next 3 games.
Yep.
But the next 3 games, they have Richmond, Fremantle, and Port Adelaide.
Yep.
So Port Adelaide is before Fremantle.
They got Brisbane.
And they got Brisbane tomorrow night.
Yes, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So they have a massive opportunity to make a statement tomorrow night. I think they've got an opportunity to remind the AFL public of who they are and what they're about. But they're not favourites tomorrow, and I know the market doesn't mean much, but they're not going to enter the next 3 games after tomorrow as favourites either. So it's a massive test for them. I do think that their captain Mark Bontempelli has a lot of weight to carry, and I think he's lacking a lot of support. And I think it's a good opportunity for the players around him to stand up.
Yeah,
they need to rise to the occasion because at the moment, what they're displaying is totally unacceptable.
Shocking,
and it's a bad reflection. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, look, they do have as I said, massive opportunity tomorrow night, which we'll speak about in the round 3 preview. I just think at this current point in time, they're very disappointing and they're letting their fans down. They're letting their brand down.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to make sure that people are aware of that, and they would be well aware of it too.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're not having internal meetings about this.
Of course, naturally. So say they go 0-5. what happens?
If they go 0-5, I think there will be crisis talks.
Yeah.
I think there will be crisis talks, and I think it'll be how we can mitigate the losses and how we can work our way around it. Because if they're 0-5, in reality, if they're 0-3 after tomorrow, that's almost season over.
It is, isn't it?
Right? They can't do what they did last year, where they basically relied on Carlton flopping in the last two. If we're being real, like the last 2-3 rounds, they were nowhere near it. The Dogs. Yeah. They relied on Carlton basically bottling it for them to get in, and they were 5 goals up at quarter time against Fremantle and only managed to kick 3 goals for the rest of the game. So there's a lot to play out, but I do think there could be some crisis talks being held if they do end up going 0-3, 0-4, even 0-5. And just looking at their run, it's not going to get easy. So look, we'll see how that goes.
Interesting discussion.
We're going to move on now. Yes. I know you are massive on Fremantle and this Luke Jackson saga. So, you're not happy with what's going on there?
Not happy. Well, I'm very, very inquisitive as to this whole multi-year deal, the amount of money they're paying him. And when I looked back at it in his Melbourne days, right, I looked through the team, and I was actually having this discussion with a close friend of mine who's a very, very good footy brain. And we were of the opinion, and it's easy to say now after 2 games in Fremantle colours, we were of the opinion that this bloke is just not as good as his contract is saying, and he's not as good as the AFL world is saying, and he's not as good as Fremantle think he is. Let me run it down for you. Look at that Melbourne team, right? He was the 3rd or 4th best forward in that Melbourne Premiership team, right? Tom McDonald's better than him. Ben Brown was better than him. You've got Bailey Fritsch up there as well. Handful of others too. Cozzy Pickett, who takes.
So you're judging him as a forward or as a ruckman?
Judging him as a forward, right?
Okay.
As a ruckman, he was the 2nd best ruckman in that team, if that, and he was a pinch hit role. Max Gawn is the number 1 ruckman. He's the best ruckman in the league, probably one of the best players in the league. So I'm looking at it and thinking, well, naturally, you've always got pressure on you as a footballer. Of course, you have to perform, right? But I'm looking at that Melbourne team and thinking, mate, this bloke was 2nd pick as a ruck. He was probably the 3rd or 4th best forward in the team. Now, he's being paid as the best forward. He's being paid as the best ruck at Fremantle. He's got to deal with all the pressure now. He's first cab off the rank in the forward line as a ruck. His first 2 games, and people saying, it's only 2 games. And there's a big tabloid article on him over in WA having a crack at him. And I'm all for that.
Well, it comes with the territory.
I'm all for that.
Contract.
And now people are it's mental health. Hang on, wait. It's not mental health when he's playing brilliantly, but when he plays 2 poor games to start with, it's mental health.
Sure.
Right? Okay, I understand that. He's a young kid, whatever. But as you said, with a big contract, with a big move comes the territory. Yeah. Fremantle are not there paying him X amount of dollars, right? And forget about the numbers, right? They are paying him and have sold the farm draft pick-wise to pick him up, right? He's got to perform immediately. This is not, we've got to wait. Mate, you need players that are good now. Fremantle made the 8 last year. They are in the window now. They're not in the business of, maybe we'll finish 8th to 12th with Luke Jackson. We've just given away all these first-round draft picks for him. We've given up X amount of salary for him at over X amount of years.
Yeah.
And we're going to give him a free ride because it's the first 2 rounds. No. God forbid, right, people asking you to do better if you are on and one of your highest paid players at your football club. It's a term of endearment.
Sure.
You shouldn't take it as a negative thing. People asking you to do better on big dollars should be a term of endearment and should be a term of endearment. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Take it the other way. So, look, he needs to get on his bike and start performing, mate. You're one of the biggest paid players at the club. You're one of the poster boys at the club. Get real. Get real and start playing football. Stop talking about, the external influences, which he hasn't done yet, mind you. But if the performances don't occur, they're going to look at something else and say, the pressure. No, you're there to perform, period. You're not done it in the first 2 weeks. You're going to copy a bad rap because you are there to perform immediately.
Well, what you've just said about Luke Jackson and Fremantle and how he was at Melbourne leads us on to our next segment, which is Collingwood, who we discussed the other day, where everyone was concerned about their salary dump, getting rid of Treloar and getting rid of Brodie Grundy. And here we are. albeit only after round 2, and they're premiership favourites. You want to talk about the Pies? You want to talk about what they're doing there?
I think they have been magnificent with what they've done this season. I really didn't see where they were going to drop off at all, and I was big on them in the preseason. Love what McRae did, and there has to be a moment in time where you think all those close wins they had last year. It's not luck.
It's not luck. Happens once or twice.
Winning
you
is
can
a habit.
classify it as luck. It's not
Winning
luck.
is a habit. That mentality is a habit. It's not even so much the mentality. It's almost it's knowing what to do in certain situations under pressure. The best teams perform under pressure. As the pressure built for Collingwood last season, their performances got better.
They rose to the occasion.
Yes, exactly.
And as a non-Collingwood fan, it was startling. It was.
Oh
like,
yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know.
If we're being real, the whole competition, right? The majority of the competition was waiting for them not to fail, but the majority of the competition was waiting for the bubble to burst. Mm-hmm. It never burst, and I think there is a method to that. And as we said previously, it's not luck.
No.
So currently, as it stands, the market has got them as outright premiership favourites,
Yes,
right?
after the first 2 weeks.
Are they your premiership favourites?
At the moment, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely. They are the benchmark. They're the North Star of the AFL competition at the moment. No one has got near them in the first 2 games. I know Geelong had a couple of injuries in round 1, but the way Collingwood finished that game was startling. And the way that they dispatched of Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide, yeah, that was massive.
I had Port Adelaide as improvers this season because of their pre-season. They annihilated them.
Yeah, they embarrassed them.
They annihilated
them.
them. Absolutely smashed them. And the pressure was on Collingwood because everyone was saying, Geelong, they had injuries in the first round. You know, you made the prelim last year. A lot of people are saying you're not going to make the 8. What I love that Craig McRae has done, he's realised, he said, okay, what are the areas that I need to work on in the off-season? Contested ball. Let's go and get Tom Mitchell. It's been brilliant in the first 2 games.
Sure.
Forward line. Let's go get Daniel McStay. Let's go get Bobby Hill. That's worked out well for him now. And Brody Myercheck, look, he might not be a glitz and glam player, but he's so important to the way that they play.
Their structure, and
the way they set up forward of centre. Unless you were blind and deaf, you have to have Collingwood, not just in your top 4. They are a genuine premiership threat this season. I don't care what anyone says. The way they play football is sustainable because they did it for 24 rounds last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think they're only.
Why don't we get some feedback from our audience? You know, if you want to email in, if you want to read
comments, YouTube,
tell us. You can
Twitter,
email in. I'll make sure I put it in the description.
Go for it.
But yeah, tell us if you think the Pies are the real deal, and as it stands at the moment, they are premiership favourites. If they are your premiership favourites, if you have someone else there.
Yep.
But look, we'll move on to, it feels like a long time ago, last Thursday night at the MCG, Carlton and the Cats.
Yep.
And, you know, Geelong were there for the taking. They had a lot, some form of injuries, but they were there for the taking. And the Blues did that.
They did.
They took them. They played a different style of football compared to round 1, and it was encouraging to see. Mm-hmm. They got their ball handlers to use the ball properly.
Yes.
They decided to attack the middle.
It's a much faster brand.
They were direct,
That's what you want to see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything that you want to say about that game?
2 things.
Sure.
Right? 1, I want to give a big mention to Adam Saad.
Agree.
Was it Ramadan Kareem?
Yep.
Ramadan Mubarak to all the Muslims out there as well. It's a very, very special month for them.
Sure.
Obviously, and the AFL's all about this type of stuff, and it's amazing to see him go through this spiritual month and put in a performance like he did on the weekend. I thought he took Tyson Stengel to the absolute cleaners.
One behind Stengel got?
He smashed him, and he played the game perfectly as well. He knew the deficiency of Tyson Stengel was this bloke doesn't defend. He's just a pure goal kicker, so I've got to get on my bike. And what I think Carlton did so well is they looked for Adam Saad to make that attacking move because they knew, hang on, Stengel ain't tracking back.
But also as well, Saad is that guy. If Carlton want to play more direct and open the corridor, Saad is that guy who can hit that 30 to 40 metre kick.
Correct. He's the spark to start that.
I agree with that.
He's the flint.
And, I listened to a interview that he had with Abby Holmes after the game.
Oh, you want make mention of this.
I found
brilliant.
That. So I sat there and I was in awe of the way he spoke.
Yeah.
The way he plays the game, the respect he has for his faith. And it's not about his faith, but the humility. You can just see his humility towards everything in life. Mm. And he said, I love playing during this time of the year. It's a time for forgiveness. It's a time for reflection.
Yep.
And I just thought it spoke volumes of his type of character,
Mhm.
and it put a smile
Yep.
on my face.
Yep.
And Sardi, everyone at Carlton loves you.
Yeah.
But look,
Absolutely.
yeah. Is there any further comment you want to make about the Cats? Are you concerned about where Geelong is?
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
massive in the AFL at the moment. Are you concerned?
They can't win the flag this year.
Why?
They just can't win it. There's just Salwood gone. You've got blokes who are like Hawkins is injured. Stewart's out. I know he's got a medial strain, but when you have that month off in football season, it just ruins you. It ruins you. Menegola's had knee surgery.
Yeah.
Mitch Duncan's coming off a
Duncan,
calf
yeah,
as
yeah.
well. You've got a handful of others too that have gone down as well. Reece Stanley's sore too. Losing Joel Selwood and Michael Voss said this as well, right? Having a chat to him about Joel Selwood, that's a bit of a name drop. That's a first name drop on the potty here we've had. He said, you watch the standard, just drop that little bit that Joel Selwood's at, and that's all it takes. It is all it takes.
I just get the impression looking at them now, and it is evident, albeit after 2 rounds,
They
that
can't win it, mate. They're
they
done.
look
It's finished.
like a team that's obviously reached Everest. They've last year they
Of course they did.
They conquered it all.
Of course.
They went through a lot of adversity.
Absolutely.
Too old, too slow, etc. We know all about that.
Yeah.
And they just look like they've come back this year. And the question has to be asked is, in those 50-50 moments, how much do they want it? I'm not questioning their character, but
it's not about that.
It's a question. It's a topic that needs to be raised because
Absolutely.
had they not won that premiership last year, I can tell you now, the 2 games that they've played this season,
Yep.
they would have won them both.
Yep. Yep. Or at least have broken even, been 1-1.
1-1. Yeah. Look, not
It's-
taking any away from
but
from
no,
the
but
way
it's
that Carlton
just-
and Collingwood play.
No,
but
no,
if,
no,
if
no.
we replicate the games that were played in 2023 and we put them in situational rounds last year,
Spot on.
in my opinion, Geelong would have, if they didn't win both, they would have won at least one.
I agree.
So, now it's up to Chris Scott to, I have full faith in Chris Scott.
Well, how can you not?
I suppose he needs to go a little bit deeper and dive deeper. They need to find something beneath themselves to fire up. They have a menacing test this week against Gold Coast.
That's not going to be easy.
It's definitely not,
you
despite
no-
where Gold
tell you
Coast
now.
is and what
Tell you now.
they've dished up. But that game will be a challenging game, and it is reflected in the market. I mean, Geelong are $1.37. Like, they're not exactly outright. Like, they are favourites, but they're not convincing favourites.
Exactly.
If we're being real, considering
not 10s on.
Fremantle went in $1.15 favourites against North.
Exactly.
Like, but yeah, look, moving on. I wanted to speak about the master coaches and coaches that
I've got a bit to say about this as well.
have come back after a sabbatical, if you want to put it in that way.
No, it is.
So,
it is a sabbatical.
I'm talking about Alistair Clarkson,
1,
Ross Lyon,
2,
and Brad Scott.
3.
And in particular to the first 2, Al Clarkson
Yep.
and Ross Lyon. And I look back to last week leading up, right? They did win their first game, but leading up into round 2, I mean, Ross Lyon's got 10, in my opinion, walk-up starters into his team that are not playing, right? You had North Melbourne and Alistair Clarkson, as they're at the airport, they're getting questioned about the Taron Thomas saga.
Correct.
Right, so they've got all this adversity and all this saga, and all they want to do was focus on the game.
Yep.
And I just think the way that both teams attacked their round 2 opposition, absolutely superb. And seeing Alistair Clarkson, and I'm one of the biggest North Melbourne critics, right? But Alistair Clarkson brings legitimacy to that club.
Of course.
He brings an aura.
Yep.
He might bring an attitude that not everyone is aligned with. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about an industry that is results-based,
Yeah.
he is all about that. And I saw, and we, not just me, the whole community saw his emotion in that game. And anyone who wants to challenge that and dislikes it, I completely disagree with you. I think every North Melbourne supporter would love what they saw,
100%.
not just from the way their team is playing, but from the reaction of their coach and their passion, and equally with Ross Lyon. Like, they come out after round 1 and everyone's going, oh, they playing boring footy, they beat Fremantle, they verse Bulldogs on Saturday
Run
night
off
at
their
Marvel. and they made them look like a kindergarten team. Like, and this is the Ross line effect. And sometimes I just think having that little break off might invigorate. And we look at Brad Scott as well at Essendon, albeit the two teams that they've beaten are probably going to be bottom six sides.
Yep.
But the way that Essendon are playing, and Essendon need to come up with a different strategy. They went into that game against Gold Coast. They didn't have a forward line, right? They didn't have Peter Wright.
Sam Wiedemann went down.
Sam Wiedemann went down. Jake Stringer, he made a massive call to play him in the VFL, which was huge.
That.
And that sets the tone.
Love it.
Right? But I also just wonder, we're talking about coaches having sabbaticals and breaks. I wonder if one Nathan Buckley is sitting there at the moment watching this unfold in front of his eyes and having that hunger that burning desire. I guess we'll never know until it actually happens, but I do wonder if Nathan Buckley is sitting there watching what's unfolding in front of him, going, you know what, maybe there is another spot for me. Who knows? But
it seems that there is a trend now that the tried coach that may not have won a flag at a club is actually Michael Voss.
Yeah.
Brad Scott.
Sure.
Ross Lyon. I know Al Clarkson won flags at Hawthorn, but he's taken a bit of time away from the game as well. Very interesting. Very, very interesting, because all the premiership coaches from the last 10 to 15 years have all been first-time coaches.
Sure.
If you go back and look at it. Dimmer.
Do you suspect that trend to continue? I mean, it will until it doesn't.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's interesting to see clubs now revert back to the experienced coach, if that makes sense, because it's easy. Like, look what the Giants did. They went and got
Adam Kingsley. Yeah.
Whether or not that works out for them, we don't know. But on the Clarko situation as well, I thought what Caro Wilson said on Footy Classified I thought it was pathetic. I thought it was just a V for vendetta, basically. She's got a personal vendetta against Clarko. Anything he does, she will look at and just criticise in a negative light. God forbid. I mean, a coach has celebrated a win. North Melbourne have come from, and obviously, North Melbourne cops it in AFL media circles and from opposition supporters. And
rightfully so.
And rightfully so.
Because their performance on and off the field in the last 10 years has been poor.
Caro, get the bee out of your bonnet. Get the bee out of your... She would be shocking at parties. She would be no fun at parties. Oh,
that is actually quite funny.
Seriously.
What parties? She's probably in bed by 9 o'clock.
As a journalist, there are points where you have to be objective, right, with the role that she has in the media, and I understand that. But everybody has biases, right? Everybody has biases, right? Whether it's with your team, whether
some
it's
show it more than others.
But to get to that point where you just can't celebrate a team's win, like you put your hand up and say, look, maybe I got it wrong with North and Clarko. Look what he's done to that club. They're up and about, but she's had a bee in her bonnet. The whole Tasmania thing and all that. She needs to get over it seriously.
I wonder if they'd actually might set up a meeting between.
Clarko wouldn't go.
I know it may not.
Clarko
happen,
wouldn't go.
But I wonder if there could be
Clarko tell her to
a little reunion between those two, and then they can lay it out on the line, and Clarko can go, Miss Wilson, what's your issue? And then Miss Wilson can go,
well,
whatever she wants.
Let me tell you,
she is allowed to have her opinion. No different to you and I and everyone else who gets in front of a camera and a mic.
Yep.
She's entitled to that. But I do understand and where you're coming from and what it is you're actually saying in terms of, she was more focused on his reaction and his passion, which 99.9% of the AFL community love.
Correct.
Right, compared to how the team actually performed as well, right? So, when North Melbourne, if there is an instance this year when North Melbourne aren't playing at their best, and he starts cracking the shits, is she going to have a go at him for showing passion for that? Because his team isn't performing?
Exactly.
Like,
as I said, it's a personal vendetta which she needs to put aside, but she won't. She's not like that. She's never been that way.
Well, we'll move on to our round 3 preview.
Here
Massive. We start off tomorrow night, as we mentioned off the bat. The Dogs host the Lions. And they've got a massive opportunity, Paul. I
couldn't tip the
Dogs. If I was in the Bulldogs inner sanctum, this would be a rocket, an old-fashioned rocket up their backsides.
Yeah.
Like you can't understand the opportunity they have tomorrow night to make a statement.
Yeah.
Like This, and it's against one of their old friends in Josh Dunkley,
actually we didn't mention
tore
that.
it up for Brisbane.
Jeez.
And the one thing that Josh Dunkley does possess is his pressure when he doesn't have the ball, and it's ironic because the Bulldogs in the first two games haven't showed it.
No.
So I don't think that is a coincidence. But the Lions are $1.45 favourites. Western Bulldogs are 260, 265 outsiders. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
I think you'll see a fired up Bulldogs in the first little bit, but then once the emotion wears away and you have to get into your processes as the game goes on, Brisbane will just click into another gear.
Do you think it might be a bit of a grind for the Lions?
Yeah, I can't see the Bulldogs winning. I think it'll be an improved performance based on what they did last week, but couldn't possibly tip them. Lions for me, they were great last week against Melbourne.
Okay.
Tipped the rebound last week. They went back to the Gabba. They'll have a bit of confidence and mojo back about them. But it's just tough when you're trying to pick up the pieces early in a season. And then there's rumblings behind that as well.
It's been very well noted that it's not just one issue. If there's a lot of issues, it's hard to turn that around within a week.
Lions for me.
Lions. I'm going to go with the Lions as well. Friday, MCG, 7:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
We have
massive. We have the MCG
game.
Is going to be rocking for this. Like there could be close to. There will be upwards of 80,000. If the weather's good, there'll be upwards of 80,000 to watch.
Definitely.
Collingwood and the Tigers. Collingwood $1.47 favourites. That's probably aided by the fact that Jaden Short's out, Nathan Broad's out.
Yes.
There is a question mark. We are here Wednesday, approximately 2:30 p.m.
Correct.
We don't know the status of Dustin Martin or Tom Lynch.
Or Jacob Hopper.
Lynch
will play. Tom Lynch will play from what apparently that corky is okay from what I read on AFL.com.au.
Now on Saturday last week when both teams played, Collingwood were 5.5 point favourites. People don't know that's negative 5.5 on the spread. They are now 13.5 point favourites. That's moved out a lot.
Far.
You think it's too far?
Too far.
We were discussing a few days ago. I'm massive on the Pies.
Yep.
And that was when it was negative 8.5 at the spread. I think the Pies will cover it well. Richmond, to me, I think they can pull out performances when it counts.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disregard them. I don't want to disrespect one of the greatest teams in the modern era. However, I do think the Pies have their measure, and I believe this potentially might be a 5 to 6 goal game.
Okay, you reckon maybe a bit of a blowout.
You're taking the Tigers?
Look, I think Richmond, even with the outs, I think they can still. I think they can cause an upset here.
Do you want to have?
It's funny because I've seen Collingwood a premiership favourites. I think in the complexity of season, in the season they deserve to be, and when you can drop a game and still win the flag, obviously.
Do you want to have an even million on it? I'll take the Pies. You take the Tigers.
Line. If it's evens.
Oh well, I'm getting $1.50 shot, so it's up to you. I'm taking $2 about $1.50 shot. It's up to you.
I'll take an even billion. Let's make it
done.
an even billion. All right, done.
I got the Pies. Paul's got the Tigers.
I've got the Tigers.
We're on.
I love going the opposite.
We're on.
Everyone's with Collingwood because of the injuries. I'm like, no, just bring it back to the Tigers.
I think irrespective of the injuries,
put some respect on the Tigers' names,
I'm not
gentlemen.
disrespecting them. I'm just questioning at the moment, given the form and how hot the Pies are, that they might just eclipse them.
Take the 2.90, I reckon.
Yeah, that's it. You should have taken the negative 5.5 about the Pies.
All that.
Pies.
All that.
Okay, so Saturday, the 1st of April Fool's Day. Who's going to be the biggest fool on Saturday? We've got the Hawks and North Melbourne lighting up Tasmania at UTAS Stadium.
They are lighting up Tasmania.
Mate, when was the last time North Melbourne walked into a game as 2s on shots? They're $1.50 favourites, mate.
I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember.
Let's be real. Who you got? What are you thinking? Bubble going to burst? Is Hawthorn going to turn around?
You know I'm big on like things being set up for the future to be so everything in the future can be amplified, right?
You're not the only one.
Correct. I'm not. I know. I think North Melbourne will win this game. And I think it's going to be – I'm looking towards Good Friday and what the AFL want. They want North Melbourne undefeated for Good Friday. They want Carlton undefeated for Good Friday, and they want a huge crowd there. So I'm going North
Bit of
Melbourne.
crystal balling there.
Bit of crystal balling.
Well, that's funny because you're going to tip North. I do think North will win.
Yep.
That leads. You mentioned Carlton. That leads us on to the next game.
Yep.
4:35 Australian Eastern Daylight Time at Giants Stadium. GWS and Carlton. This is going to be, in my opinion, a slight danger game for the Blues.
Okay.
They took care of business against Geelong.
Yep.
They got back to work. They announced, I think, Tom DeConning is free to play.
Yes. Well, he copped a fine. For a knee, and then that got cleared.
That got cleared. Okay, so he's definitely in. We'll wait to see the ins and outs for that game. I expect Carlton to have a win. I think it'll be a lot closer than what most people think.
Yep.
There'll be a few people, given the fact that the Giants are off a 5-day and a 22-hour break essentially.
Yeah,
after playing
from WA.
From Western Australia, that they might be a bit sort of wary at the start of the year.
They do get Kelly and Whitfield back,
I know,
think,
after
from
concussion, which is true.
Yeah.
Yet the teams are yet to be released at this current point in time, but it is easy to assume that both those players will be back, which are massive for them.
Yep.
I expect Carlton to get it done. I don't think the game is going to be decided by more than three goals.
Yep.
I think it could be maybe potentially a 10 to 15 point win for the Blues.
I think so as
well. And the market I think has that sort of spot on.
Correct.
You got the Blues.
Yep. I've got Carlton.
Yep.
Yep.
Saturday night. Who would have thought at the MCG? Right, in St Kilda's 150th year anniversary match. Who would have thought that one of these teams are playing to be 3-0?
Funny how things work. Second versus third on the AFL
yeah.
ladder as we head into round 3.
I think this poses to be a very good game. I'm just of the belief I think St Kilda and Ross Lyon will suffocate the Dons.
Yep.
I'm not sure if Wiedemann will be back. I also don't think it's going to have a big say on the game.
No.
I don't think it's going to change the outcome. I'm a big believer in St Kilda and what they've been able to do. And had it been any other coach that was coaching them, I doubt them. There's this Ross Lyon factor that
Ross the boss.
We cannot dismiss.
He is the boss.
And I think even with their mountable injury list that the Saints have, I think St Kilda will get the job done, albeit I think it's going to be a close game, obviously. But, who yourself?
Saints for me.
Saints? Easy? No?
Yep.
Struggle?
Saints for me. No, this is the
no
toughest.
issue?
Okay. This is the toughest test for Essendon to date this season. This is the first time they're actually going to face an opposition team that is legitimately going to be set up really well defensively, rigid defensively. And interesting to note as well, Ross Lyons got them on the hop on the rebound too, offensively as well. So, I think Saints will get the job done.
Saints get the job done.
Yep.
Saturday night over in Adelaide, the showdown. These Port wearing the prison bar jumpers this week, I think.
I don't know. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're wearing the prison bar jumpers. This shapes a big game. I mean, I've always wondered what it would be like to be in Adelaide or even in, we're going to move on to the next game, obviously in Perth, but in Adelaide to be there for that sort of showdown. And, I can just imagine like the Adelaide, but there'd be families divided.
Oh, yeah.
Friendships lost. It's all on the line.
Yeah.
Massive sort of game. Port Adelaide $1.44 favourites. Adelaide Crows $2.85. I think Port will be keen to make amends from their disappointing performance last week against Collingwood. At the same time, I also think Adelaide will rise to the occasion too. And I genuinely don't have a clear-cut tip. I mean, every other game thus far, I've been pretty confident on. This is a tough game. And, I think previous form in these type of games does go out of the window.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if someone had something in my head, I'd say Port Adelaide just.
Yep.
I have zero confidence absolutely in anything in this game. I don't have any idea. I'd love to be there though. It'd be awesome to watch.
Cracking game. Port Adelaide for mine.
Yeah. Convincingly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Too easy.
Yep.
Sunday, the 2nd of April, Gold Coast versus the Cats up at HBS Stadium.
I have an opinion on this game.
I don't even know what the stadium is because
Heritage Bank Stadium. Heritage Bank.
Not Metricon anymore.
No, they've changed the sponsors.
Well, the Suns now could be another dismal season if they do drop this game, and it doesn't get any easier. They do versus Geelong, albeit as slightly undermanned Geelong, if we want to put it in that way, but they still haven't lost a lot of their experience. They still have it. And the Cats are 14th.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
I didn't have them 14th, but look, here they are now.
I have a strong opinion on this game.
Sure, talk to me.
Gold Coast Suns will win.
Okay.
I think they will
Why?
win.
aside from your gut instinct?
Heritage Bank Stadium, and I think they're a little bit better set up than what Geelong are. I know they were all right against Essendon, the Suns. They were better value for money than they were in the first game against Sydney, and I think Sydney are going to be a top 4 team again this season.
I'm not going to let them slip under our radar.
No.
Be wary of the Swans.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a proud club. I think the Suns can do it. I really think they do. I think the market is suggesting that they can.
Sure.
I think they can win.
Yeah.
I'm going to be tipping them. I'm going to tip the Suns in this one.
I'm going to go the Cats.
Okay.
No news thus far on Jeremy Cameron. He did appear to be a little bit sore after the Carlton game.
Caught the whack across the face. And
he's a tough bugger. I reckon he'll manage to get through. They got the extra couple of days to recover.
Yep.
But I'm going to go with the Cats. MCG Sunday afternoon.
Cracker.
In my opinion, game of the round. The Demons
cracker.
versus Swans. And I did allude to just previously, I don't want to let the Swans get away with any form of attention. Like I think just because they're up north, they probably don't get as much attention
with the Vic-centric,
with the Victorian-centric
media. Of course.
However, I think what they're doing at the moment in Sydney is very, very good, considering
sensational
considering
football
the
club.
embarrassing loss in the grand final that they had. It'd be very easy for them to sort of
drop the ball,
be mentally sort of faded. They've done anything but that thus far, albeit the two opposition that they versed, they should have won and they have won convincingly. This is going to be a massive game. Melbourne, it'd be interesting to see who they welcome back. Stephen May was supposed to come back last week and was a laid out. I don't think that matters. Max Gawn goes out. Sydney, I believe, will get this done in a very close game.
Okay, you think Sydney? Okay.
Yeah. Look, the market's got Melbourne favourite, probably because of the MCG factor and a lot of other things. But I do think Sydney will win this game. I am not saying that Melbourne won't bounce back. I believe Melbourne will come out and want to rectify and make right of what happened last week. And they have an opportunity to make it right. And what a time to do it against the top of the team table. The team on top of the table.
Top of the table. Yes.
I believe that Sydney will win though.
I'm of the opposite opinion. I think Melbourne will win. I look back to those games that they played against Sydney last season, and they had a lot of sore bodies. Melbourne, a lot of sore bodies. I think they look fresher. They finished with a flurry last week, which I think I know the light situation obviously probably helped a bit.
They kicked 30 points to 2?
Something like that. Yeah, in the blink of an eye. So I think they'll look back at that.
They can pour it on very quickly.
Yeah, and I think back at home, I think they could set themselves up a little bit better now that they know that Gawn's not there. Grundy will just slot himself into the number 1 ruck role, and I think they will win. I think Melbourne. Yeah, I think Melbourne will win this game.
Okay, and then the last game of the round on Sunday is the Western Australian Derby, however you want to call it. Fremantle versus West Coast Eagles. Fremantle favourites, $1.50. West Coast were impressive last week to an extent. They're $2.65.
Third win in 28 outings.
I know.
Third win in 28 outings.
And they actually played some good football.
They did.
They were daring. They were bold. They were running off half back. And it was very good to watch if you're a West Coast fan. I do believe, however, Fremantle will be winning this game. I think the market slightly overreacted to West Coast's performance last week. I expect Fremantle to win this game and get their first win of 2023. Yourself?
Fremantle for mine.
Easy?
I think Fremantle will get its first win this weekend. So apparently Nathan Fyfe has got a bit of a foot niggle. I don't know how true that is, unconfirmed rumours, but apparently he will play this weekend.
He didn't play. He was last week.
Yeah, I think he had something potentially to do with plantar fasciitis.
Oh, that's a bugger, that one.
Which it is, It's one of those ones where
that can be a you-know-what.
You have to wait. Yeah, you have to wait for it to snap until it actually sorts itself out. So
they might want to tread with water, given his age.
Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff.
Maybe people just going hard on Nathan Fyfe. I mean, regardless, his career is probably at the crossroads as we discussed last week. But,
correct.
I'm with Freo here.
Okay, well there we have it, and that's a wrap. Now to our audience, don't forget to send your emails in, get in contact with us, comment, like, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. If you have any questions, if you disagree or you agree with anything that we say, let us know. We want to hear from you.
Comment section, socials as well. Don't forget Instagram.
They're all up
we
there.
at Weekend Grill 6. and Twitter at Weekend Grill 6.
They'll all be there. So let us know what you think. Talk to us. We want to hear from you.
Yes.
Have a great
weekend.
weekend,
guys.
Cheers.